In a boardroom full of Ivy League lawyers and million-dollar suits, no one expected the cleaning assistant to speak, let alone expose a multi-million-dollar flaw in a corporate contract. But when she did, the CEO turned pale. This isn't fiction. It's a story about truth, legacy, and quiet brilliance. Downtown Chicago, the heart of steel and ambition. Inside the shimmering glass tower of Lexeratech, where AI engineers whisper in jargon and CEOs speak in millions, walks a woman most never see. Rosa Delgado, 34, enters through the back entrance just before sunset. She doesn't wear a badge, she wears calluses on her palms. Her sneakers are old, soles worn thin. Her uniform? A simple polo, stained at the cuff from yesterday's long shift. She walks the polished hallways quietly. People pass by her without a glance. Some nod absently. Others talk over her, never to her. To them, she's just the cleaning lady. But Rosa? Rosa listens. She sees things others miss. She knows which doors are always locked, which offices echo with power, and which voices never notice the silent ones. And today, behind the closed doors of the executive boardroom, CEO Ethan Greer rehearses for the biggest deal of his career. Ethan, 42, wears a $10,000 suit and the kind of smirk that thinks it's always the smartest one in the room. He's confident, sharp, impatient. The new contract, worth $80 million, is Lexeratech's golden ticket to global dominance. Ethan doesn't know her name. Never cared to. But what he doesn't see is that the woman mopping the floor outside his glass office? She's the one who's about to shake his world. The hum of the vacuum cleaner fills the corridor, steady, unassuming, like the woman pushing it. Rosa moves along the hallway outside the boardroom, her eyes lowered, hands steady. The glass wall does nothing to hide the voices inside. Inside, Ethan leans over the conference table with two lawyers. Papers rustle. Laughter echoes, a certain kind of laughter. The kind that belongs to men who think they've outsmarted everyone else in the room. Clause 37B. One of them chuckles. It's buried deep. No one on their side will notice. By the time they figure it out, another smirks. Lexra will already have the patent locked in. They laugh again. But Rosa stops. Just for a second. A beat. Her hand hovers over the vacuum switch. Her brow furrows. Clause 37B. She's heard of it. She's read bits and pieces in the discarded copies executives toss away. Late nights, while emptying bins, she reads, quietly, curiously, stubbornly. And something about what they just said doesn't sit right. Her eyes shift, but not toward them. She doesn't let them see her thinking. Instead, she lowers her gaze again, the perfect picture of invisibility. But inside, a storm begins to swirl. She doesn't say a word. Not yet. The hum of the vacuum fades as the scene shifts. We see an old photograph tucked inside a worn wallet, Rosa in a blazer, holding a law journal. She's smiling wide, standing in front of Northwestern Law's ivy-covered brick walls. She used to belong there. Top of her class. A prodigy in contract law. Professors whispered that she'd be clerking for the Supreme Court one day. But one phone call changed everything. We hear it. Your father has been detained by ICE. Her heart cracked. Her father, the man who raised her with stories of justice and fairness, had been taken. Deported for a clerical error in a system that never saw him as human. Rosa dropped out that week. No protest. No farewell party. Just silence and sacrifice. She started working 2 jobs, sometimes 3, cleaning offices by night, waiting tables by day. Her mother fell ill. Her younger brother needed school fees. But through it all, she kept reading. Every contract she found in a trash bin. Every torn-up draft. Every discarded legal pad left behind by the elite. She didn't stop learning. Didn't stop caring. Didn't stop believing. Because for Rosa, the law was never just about power. It was about people. And though the world may have forgotten her name, she never forgot who she was. It's nearly midnight. The office is quiet, emptied of suits and briefcases. Only Rosa remains, mop tucked in a corner, her hands smelling faintly of lemon disinfectant. In the break room, a trash bin overflows with crumpled takeout boxes and shredded papers. But one corner of a document peeks out, cleaner, heavier paper. She pulls it out gently. It's the contract draft. The very one she overheard them talking about. Her eyes scan the pages, calm but sharp. Her breath slows. Under the dim flicker of a dying fluorescent light, Clause 37B stares back at her like a wound. She reads it once. Then again. No, this isn't just unethical. It's illegal, buried under legal jargon, masked with clever punctuation, but unmistakably wrong. Her hands tremble, not from fear, but from memory. She remembers a case she once debated in law class. State versus Kilburn Tech, same tactic. Same deceptive clause. The company lost millions, and the clause was ruled fraudulent. She exhales shakily. She reaches into her worn bag and pulls out a red pen, its cap cracked, the ink barely alive. Slowly, deliberately, she circles clause 37B. Red bleeds across the paper like truth fighting through silence. Her eyes are no longer downcast. They're focused now. Steady. She doesn't know what she'll do next. But one thing is clear. This is no longer just a job. It's a moment. And maybe, just maybe, the world will finally hear her. Rosa sits alone in the janitor's closet, door barely ajar. The contract draft lies on her lap, red ink still fresh. The fluorescent light above hums softly, casting long shadows on the floor. Her fingers clutch the paper tighter. What is she doing? She's not a lawyer. She doesn't have a title. No degree. No credentials. Just a mop bucket and a shelf of cleaning supplies behind her. She hears voices echo down the hallway, suits talking numbers, timelines, deals. She's not one of them. She never has been. And yet, her father's voice rises in her memory, soft but firm. La verdad no necesita un diploma, mija. Solo necesita valor. Truth doesn't need a diploma, my girl. It just needs courage. She blinks away the tears welling in her eyes. She remembers the night they took him. ICE agents at the door, her mother screaming, her father refusing to let go of Rosa's hand until the very last second. He always believed in fairness, in fighting for what's right. And now, Rosa holds the truth in her hands. Literal truth. Written, provable, undeniable. She can't ignore this. Not when she knows what this clause could do to the smaller company on the other side, who may lose everything. Her breath shakes, but her resolve grows stronger. She stands, quietly but with purpose. She folds the contract carefully, tucks it into her worn tote bag, and steps into the hallway, not as a cleaner tonight, but as a voice the world never expected to hear. The boardroom is aglow with morning light. Suits shuffle papers, screens flash numbers, and the air is thick with the scent of coffee and success. Ethan Greer, polished and poised, adjusts his cufflinks as he prepares to finalize the $80 million contract. Laughter bounces off glass walls. Suddenly, the glass door opens. Heads turn. Rosa steps in, still in her faded hoodie and janitor's badge. Her sneakers squeak against the marble floor. She's holding the contract draft. Silence slices through the room. Ethan's eyes narrow. Miss Delgado. Rosa nods. Her voice is quiet, but unwavering. This contract is flawed. Clause 37B violates U.S. trade compliance laws. If you sign it, Lexrotech could be investigated and sued. For a moment, no one breathes. Then a snort. Laughter. A junior lawyer leans back smugly. Are you even qualified to read that? The room chuckles. Rosa doesn't. She looks at him calmly, eyes steady, and replies. More than you know. She opens the contract and lays it on the table. Her finger lands precisely on Clause 37B. This wording bypasses fair trade agreements with partner countries. It looks clever, but it's illegal. Any paralegal who's touched a compliance textbook would know that. The room grows tense. Eyes shift to Ethan. He's no longer smiling. Rosa continues, steady. You built this company on vision. Don't let greed ruin it. She turns and walks out, her steps slow but resolute, leaving behind a room of stunned silence. The door clicks shut behind Rosa. Inside the boardroom, no one speaks. The air that was once filled with laughter now hums with tension. Ethan leans forward, his brow furrowed. His voice, once commanding, now carries a crack of unease. Joel, check Clause 37B. Now. Joel, the head legal counsel, frowns. He opens his laptop, pulls up the contract, and begins scrolling. His fingers, usually confident, tremble slightly. A full minute passes. Then another. His eyes freeze. Color drains from his face. He swallows hard. She's right. The words hang in the air like thunder. If this clause is flagged in an audit, we're looking at major federal penalties. Maybe even a ban from future contracts with government agencies. The mood shifts. Rapidly. No one's laughing now. The junior lawyer who mocked Rosa stares at the floor. The others exchange nervous glances. Ethan stands slowly, pressing his hands on the table to steady himself. How did we miss this? No one answers. Because the truth is, they didn't miss it. They buried it. A calculated risk. A silent gamble. One they never thought anyone would dare question. And yet, a woman with no office, no title, no permission, saw what they chose to ignore. Ethan's confidence begins to crumble, not just in the contract, but in himself. He looks toward the door Rosa walked through. And for the first time, the thought pierces his pride. Maybe I just underestimated the wrong person. The silence breaks. Ethan, still standing, points a firm but trembling finger toward Rosa. Who are you? His voice is sharper now, not with anger, but with something rarer in a man like him, disbelief. Rosa lifts her eyes. Slowly. No longer avoiding their stares. No longer shrinking into the background. Her voice isn't loud, but it cuts through the room like a blade through still air. I'm someone who used to be a law student at Northwestern. Top of my class. Specializing in contract law. She pauses, her eyes meeting Ethan's, unflinching. But when my father was deported because no one read the fine print, I dropped out. I cleaned floors to pay for my mother's medication. Took jobs people ignored. But I never stopped reading. She holds up the marked contract, now folded and worn. I read when no one else does. I look where no one else bothers to. A murmur moves across the room. Ethan steps back slightly, unsettled, not just by her knowledge, but by how confidently, how rightfully, she stood her ground. You never saw me, Rosa says softly. Because I wasn't in a suit. That one sentence. It lands like a stone in a glass house. Everyone looks at her now. Really looks. And for the first time, they see her. The echo of Rosa's words doesn't end in that boardroom. By the time she finishes her shift that night, whispers have already started in the hallways of Lexera Tech. Not gossip, but questions. Did you hear what happened? The cleaning lady? She caught a legal flaw. No, not just a flaw. She saved us. In the elevator, a young data engineer nods at Rosa, a nod that says respect. At the vending machine, someone actually moves aside to let her go first. She's no longer invisible. In HR, someone quietly pulls out her old resume. The gaps suddenly mean something different. Not failure. Sacrifice. Strength. Focus. Later that day in the break room, where Rosa usually eats alone, a man in a gray blazer approaches. He's older. Measured. The room quiets a little when he speaks. Miss Delgado? He holds out a card. I'm Michael Raines, Senior Legal Advisor. If you ever want a real shot at something beyond cleaning, call me. Rosa looks at the card, then up at him. There's no flattery in his voice. No pity. Only recognition. Outside, the Chicago sky is turning amber, painting the Lexera Tech glass in soft light. Rosa walks out, card in hand. For the first time in years, her steps feel heard. The office is nearly empty when Ethan calls Rosa into his glass-walled office. The air feels heavy, thick with tension, but also something softer, respect. He doesn't start with an apology. Instead, his voice is steady low. You saved us. The words hang in the silence. Rosa looks at him, no pride, no anger. Just quiet strength. Ethan leans forward, a trace of vulnerability breaking through his usual confidence. I want you to join our ethics board. Review contracts before they reach us. Help us avoid mistakes like this. Rosa's eyes flicker, hope sparking in the corners of her gaze. She hesitates, then says firmly, I'll do it. But there's one thing. Ethan waits. Mentorship programs. For kids like me. For those who don't have a chance because of their background. Ethan nods slowly. It's a deal. A bridge built, not from grand speeches, but from shared understanding. From respect earned, not demanded. Rosa feels it deep in her chest. A quiet victory, not just for her, but for every invisible voice that dares to speak. The morning sun filters softly through the towering windows of Lexera Tech's sleek compliance department. Rosa steps through the glass doors with a quiet confidence she's never felt before. Gone are the worn sneakers and faded coveralls. Today she wears a crisp blouse, her hair neatly pulled back, ready for a new chapter. Her footsteps echo lightly on the polished floor as she approaches her new desk. There, gleaming under the soft office light, is her nameplate. Rosa Delgado, Compliance Review and Equity Advisor. She traces the letters with a small smile, a mix of pride and humility swelling inside her chest. This isn't just a title. It's a testament to years of struggle, silent nights poring over legal books, and the courage to speak when no one else would. As she rises to greet her new colleagues, Rosa's gaze drifts briefly to the janitor's closet, the place where she once worked, where she was invisible to most. She smiles softly, a gentle nod to her past self, then turns forward. Today, Rosa is not invisible anymore. She is seen. She is heard. And this is only the beginning. The room buzzes softly with quiet conversations as employees gather in the company's open event space. It's a celebration, not just of success, but of courage and change. Rosa steps onto the small stage, the spotlight warm on her face. She looks out at the crowd, faces she's passed by countless times, many who once overlooked her. Her voice is calm but firm, filled with the quiet strength forged by years of struggle. Not every expert wears a title, she begins, pausing just long enough for the words to settle in. Sometimes they carry a mop and a mind sharper than you expect. There's a pause, then a ripple of applause starts, genuine, heartfelt, free from pity or condescension. People aren't applauding the janitor they once ignored. They're applauding the woman who stood up, who spoke truth when silence was easier. Rosa's eyes glisten slightly, not from tears, but from a fierce pride. This moment, her voice finally heard, is a victory beyond any job title or contract signed. She closes with a smile. Never underestimate the quiet ones. They often carry the biggest truths. The room fills with warmth, respect, and a renewed sense of possibility. Rosa's story has become a beacon, a reminder that greatness often hides where you least expect it. Some voices aren't loud, but they're right. And when truth speaks, even the proud must listen. Quiet strength can shake the foundations of power, and unseen courage can change the course of a life or a company. If you've ever been overlooked for being too quiet, too ordinary, or too different, this story is for you. Subscribe to Silent Worth, and join us as we uncover more powerful stories of hidden strength and untold brilliance. Because every silent voice deserves to be heard.